August often feels like the month for harvesting and slowly winding down your gardening efforts. Time to finally kick back in a hammock with a cup of tea, right? Think again. But in fact, the second half of August is precisely when you lay the groundwork for an incredibly successful garden next year. And today, I'll share 5 crucial tasks that will transform your plot into a true oasis of abundance, making your neighbours wish they had your green thumb. So, stick around, and you'll learn the one big secret many home gardeners completely miss. August truly is a tricky month. Days are still warm, but the nights are noticeably cooler. Plants sense this change and adjust their behaviour accordingly. They're no longer focused on growing upwards. Instead, they channel all their energy into ripening their bounty and storing vital nutrients for winter. Understanding these simple natural cycles is the key to truly effective late summer garden and vegetable patch care. Our role isn't to get in their way, it's to help them thrive. So, where do we begin this final sprint of the gardening season? Naturally, it's all about harvesting and that crucial last feeding. But this isn't just about picking everything that's ripe. It's a whole strategy designed to help you preserve your bounty and ensure your plants put their last burst of energy into the fruit, not the foliage. Let's start with what's underground. Potatoes, carrots, and beets. Many gardeners wait until the tops completely yellow and wither. But if August is rainy, that's a big mistake. In damp soil, root vegetables can rot or become diseased. So if you see the weather turning bad and your root crops have reached their typical size, don't hesitate to dig them up. It's best to use a garden fork, not a spade, to minimise the risk of damaging your harvest. Dug them up? Perfect! Now, whatever you do, don't wash them right away. Spread your harvest out in the shade under a canopy for a couple of hours. The soil will dry and easily brush off, and the skins will toughen. This is what's called the curing period. After that, sort through them carefully. Anything with scratches or signs of spoilage should be eaten first, and the whole, healthy specimens go to the root cellar for storage. Next, let's talk about what's growing above ground. Tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants. The rule here is simple. Harvest regularly, and don't let the fruits over-ripen. Every ripe tomato sends a signal to the plant. Mission accomplished. Time to relax. But we don't want that. By picking ripe fruit every 2 or 3 days, we're essentially telling the plant, "Come on, buddy, keep working." If nights start getting cold, below 8 to 10 degrees Celsius, go ahead and pick brown and even large green tomatoes. They'll ripen perfectly indoors in the warmth. But on the vine, they could be ruined by late blight. And now we smoothly transition to feeding your plants. You might wonder, why feed them if we're already harvesting everything? The reason is to ensure your developing fruits receive maximum nutrition, making them sweeter and more flavourful. But there's one golden rule. Remember, no nitrogen in the second half of August. Nitrogen encourages leaf and stem growth, which is exactly what we don't want. All energy should be directed into the fruits. So our main allies now are potassium and phosphorus. The simplest and most effective recipe is potassium monophosphate. Use 1 tablespoon per 10 litres of water. Water at the root base into moist soil. Another excellent option, especially for tomatoes, is a foliar feed with an ash solution. Take 1 cup of ash, pour 1 litre of boiling water over it, let it steep for 24 hours, then strain it, dilute to 10 litres, and spray. This provides both nutrition and fungal disease prevention. This kind of care will help you squeeze the maximum out of the season until the very last warm day. Now let's talk about your garden beds. Those empty spaces after harvesting early potatoes, onions or garlic can look a bit sad and neglected, can't they? It's tempting for many gardeners to just leave them bare until spring, thinking the soil needs a rest. But as nature abhors a vacuum, if you don't plant something beneficial, weeds will happily move in. Come spring, you'll face a tiresome battle with dandelions and stubborn couch grass. But there's a much smarter and more effective solution: planting cover crops, also known as green manures. These are plants we grow not for harvest but specifically to benefit the soil itself. Think of it as a luxurious spa treatment for your garden. And here's why. First, they grow quickly, forming a dense green carpet that simply smothers weeds, preventing them from taking hold. Second, their robust root systems are excellent at loosening even the most dense, compacted soil. The roots penetrate deep, making the soil airy, light, and wonderfully moisture retentive. Come spring, digging those beds will be an absolute pleasure. Third, and most importantly, cover crops significantly enrich your soil with organic matter and essential nutrients. Once they've grown sufficiently, simply mow them down and lightly incorporate them into the topsoil. There they decompose, transforming into invaluable humus, a feast for earthworms and beneficial microorganisms. Essentially, you're building a rich, fertile topsoil without the need for tons of manure or compost. So what cover crops should you choose for planting in late August? White mustard is an excellent choice. It sprouts in just 3 or 4 days, rapidly builds biomass, and crucially, its natural compounds help disinfect the soil, suppressing diseases like late blight and scab. Another champion is phacelia. It's a wonderful pollinator magnet, attracting late-season bees to your garden, and an excellent universal preceding crop for almost any vegetable. Oats or rye are also good options. These cereals are fantastic for improving soil structure and enriching it with potassium. The planting process is incredibly simple. Just lightly rake your bed, scatter the seeds, and then lightly cover them with a thin layer of soil. That's it. Your garden beds will be busy, building future fertility right up until the first hard frost. So, what's happening in the berry patch? Our raspberries, currants and gooseberries have already rewarded us with a generous harvest. Their branches are heavy and leaves are starting to yellow in places, making it seem like their mission for the year is complete. But right now, they need our help more than ever. Imagine a berry bush is like an athlete who just ran a marathon. It's tired, it's given its all. Our job is to help it recover and prepare for the next race, or rather, for next season. Let's start with the ever-bearing raspberries. They're just entering the peak of their second autumn fruiting. For large, sweet berries, they need plenty of potassium right now. Feed them with wood ash, scatter about a cup under each bush, and gently work it into the soil. Or you can make an ash infusion. And definitely keep an eye on watering, especially if August has been dry. Now for your regular, summer fruiting raspberries. This is where the most crucial work comes in. Pruning. Without any hesitation, cut back to the ground all canes that have already fruited. You'll easily recognise them. They're dark, 2-year-old, and often look somewhat dry. They won't produce any more fruit. Instead, they'll just overcrowd the bush, steal nutrients, and serve as a breeding ground for diseases and pests. Once cut, immediately burn them or remove them from the garden. Only leave the young, green canes from this year's growth. From these, select the strongest and healthiest, aiming for about 8 to 10 per linear metre of row. Remove all weak suckers and thin shoots as well. This is both a sanitation and a formative pruning, all in one go. The same principles apply to currants and gooseberries. Carefully inspect the bushes. Any old, dark, lichen-covered branches older than 4 to 5 years that are producing small berries should be cut back to the ground. Also, remove any diseased, broken branches, or those that are lying on the ground or growing inward, making the bush too dense. Our goal is to create a well-lit, airy bush with a mix of branch ages. After this haircut, it's crucial to treat your berry patch for diseases and pests that are already preparing for winter. A 1% Bordeaux mixture or any other suitable fungicide will work. Remember the myth that it's better to prune in spring. That's a big mistake. Autumn pruning is far more effective. You remove sources of infection and allow the bush to direct all its energy into setting flower buds for next year's harvest. Let's not forget about the future beauty of spring. After all, a garden isn't just about vegetable patches. It's also about flower beds that bring joy to the eye. And late August is, without exaggeration, a golden time for any gardener. It's precisely now that we lay the groundwork for abundant blooms next year. The main task in the flower garden now is dividing and transplanting perennials. Flowers like peonies, irises, hostas, astilbes, phloxes, and daylilies tend to spread significantly over time. Their clumps can become too dense, the centre may die out, and the blooms get smaller and less prolific. Dividing them every 3 to 5 years is a true rejuvenating procedure for these plants. How to do this correctly? Carefully dig up the entire clump, trying not to damage the roots. Then shake off any excess soil and carefully examine the root ball. With a sharp knife or spade, divide it into several sections, commonly called divisions. Each division should have several healthy growth buds and a good network of roots. Be sure to cut away any rotted or old parts of the rootstock. For disinfection, dust the cut surfaces with powdered charcoal or wood ash. Immediately replant your divisions in a new, pre-prepared spot. Why August specifically? Because the intense heat has subsided, the soil is still warm, and rain is often plentiful. This gives the plants ample time to establish good roots before the cold sets in, allowing them to burst forth with renewed vigour in the spring. But that's not all. Late August also marks the official opening of bulb planting season. Yes, those very tulips, daffodils, hyacinths, crocuses, and muscari, the ones that will be the first to herald spring's arrival, need to be planted right now. Don't put it off until October. Early planting allows the bulbs to root well in the warm earth. As a general rule, the planting depth should be 3 times the height of the bulb itself. Before planting, it's very beneficial to soak the bulbs for half an hour in a fungicide solution, such as Maxim, to protect them from rot. Choose sunny spots for them where water doesn't accumulate. Trust me, in spring, when the first bright flowers emerge from under the snow, you'll be immensely grateful to yourself for this August effort. And finally, for the 5th and equally crucial point on our list, it's time to start preparing the most vulnerable areas of your garden for winter. Yes, it might sound a bit premature with all of September still ahead, but as the old saying goes, better safe than sorry. Prevention is always better than an emergency cure, and we should start with every gardener's most important structure, the greenhouse. By the end of August, the harvest in the greenhouse is usually complete or nearing its end. An empty greenhouse, however, provides an ideal environment for the accumulation and multiplication of all kinds of pathogens, fungal spores, bacteria, and pest larvae. Over the summer, a vast quantity of them will have built up there. If left unchecked, your young seedlings will find themselves in a veritable disease hotspot next spring and start suffering from day one. Therefore, a thorough deep cleaning and disinfection is a mandatory procedure. So what needs to be done? First, remove all plant residues, spent foliage, roots, weeds, and ties. All of these are potential sources of infection, so burn them without hesitation. Then, thoroughly wash the entire structure from the inside. The frame, glass, or polycarbonate. Everything needs to be washed with a soapy solution to remove dust and grime. Pay special attention to joints and crevices. This is where pests love to hide. After washing, it's time for disinfection. You can use a solution of copper or ferrous sulfate, Bordeaux mixture, or specialised preparations. The most radical and effective method is a sulfur fumigator. It will destroy almost all disease pathogens and pests. But be cautious. The smoke is highly toxic, so observe all safety precautions. Also, if your greenhouse frame is metal and unpainted, the fumigator can cause corrosion. After treatment, the greenhouse should be sealed tightly for a couple of days and then thoroughly aired out. Simultaneously with the greenhouse work, start thinking about perennials that require winter protection. First and foremost, of course, are roses. There's a common myth that they should only be covered after the first severe frosts. However, preparations for this need to begin much earlier. Stop all nitrogen fertilizer applications now to avoid stimulating the growth of new, immature shoots. Instead, provide potassium and phosphorus fertilizers. These will help the branches mature better and prepare for the cold. Gradually start removing lower leaves, especially if they show signs of disease, to improve air circulation at the base of the bush. It's still too early to build the actual covers, but now is the perfect time to gather materials, plan the structure, and carry out all necessary preparatory horticultural tasks. Such foresight will save you a lot of time and stress when the cold weather arrives unexpectedly. And now, for the most crucial insight, the turning point that truly sets an experienced gardener apart from a novice. All the tasks we've mentioned, harvesting, soil care, pruning, planting, these aren't just about wrapping up the season. They are, in fact, its very beginning. Here's the key secret. The second half of August isn't the end of your gardening year. It's the real start of the next one. Everything you do now, sowing cover crops, properly pruning your bushes, dividing your perennials, will directly influence the quantity and quality of your harvest 9 to 10 months down the line. By skipping these vital tasks, you are quite literally robbing yourself of future apples, berries, and blossoms. You might think you're resting, but in reality, you're setting yourself up for problems next spring. This is the August paradox, a concept many gardeners aren't even aware of. So, let's recap. The second half of August is a critically important time for harvesting and processing your produce, rejuvenating your soil with cover crops, correctly pruning berry bushes, creating stunning floral displays for next spring, and preparing your garden for winter. Thank you for watching this video to the very end. I hope these tips were helpful. If so, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future episodes. And now, a question for you. What garden tasks are in full swing at your place right now? What are you harvesting and what are you planting? Share your experiences in the comments below. Let's discuss.